I'm out exploring again. I'm Joseph, this is Input English. I'm about 8 miles to the east of Escalante, Utah on scenic Highway 12. This is a road I've always enjoyed driving because it at every turn shows you something new, something interesting. The rock formations behind me give you a little bit of an idea what this terrain is like. The locals and the geologists call this slick rock. And I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see some of the slick rock formations that are below us. The road is going to descend nearly 1,000 feet to a lower level. And this road that they built is really an engineering marvel because without a road like this dynamited into the side of the hills, you wouldn't be able to get a grip on this slick rock formation. So here you can see the road below us, nearly 1,000 feet. And you can see all this slick rock, as the locals refer to it. It was a big problem to get from point A to point B. They had people here 100 years ago trying to make a living, and they were producing products, but they had trouble getting those products to market. The U.S. Postal Service had mule teams that would bring cargo and mail to various locations, and that was used for some time. During the Great Depression, the U.S. federal government chose to do projects like this under what we called the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. The CCC did a lot of infrastructure projects and was a program to put people back to work so that we could come out of the Great Depression. So I'm going to get back in the car and go down this road because we're heading up in that direction to a fun hike, and that's going to be what we do this morning. And of course, you're coming along. Places like this make it a little difficult to make progress along the roadway because every time there's a scenic turnout, a pullout, a place to stop and look, I tend to do that. Here's some slick rock. This will give you an idea of just how intricate and beautiful these rock formations are. The reason for stopping here is this view. So the road continues to descend down into this canyon. That is the Escalante River down there, which provides a completely different habitat. The sign posted here explains that in spite of the fact that this is a desert habitat, one sees ducks down there on the river. That river is frequented by ducks, waterfowl. This river provides lots of opportunities for hiking. And as you might expect, I am foreshadowing where I'm going. Well, I've parked the car, gotten oriented, and I'm on the trail. This is estimated as about 1.5 miles. You can actually get to these waterfalls that I'm planning on seeing from the road by a much shorter route, but that takes you to the top of the falls, and there's no way to get down to the bottom of the falls by that route. So this is a hiking route that takes you to the bottom of the falls, and I think you'll find that it's worth it. There's a nice contrast here behind me. You can see the desert, rugged landscape that I've shown you over the past day or so. But then if I turn around, you can see the plants and trees of this river valley. These are mostly cottonwood trees. Cottonwood trees, as I understand it, get their name because when they bloom, their blossoms produce seeds that are carried on the wind and that they're very cottony. They're very fluffy features of the seeds so that they can be broadcast widely by the wind. That's my understanding of the name Cottonwood. You can see trees behind me with a relatively lighter green foliage. Those are cottonwoods. When you see a cottonwood in the desert, that means water. They only grow where there's water. If you see a cactus, that doesn't mean much. That just means you saw a cactus. But if you see cottonwoods, that means there's water. Well, now you can see why I came here. This is the lower Calf Creek Falls, and it was worth that 1.5 mile walk in here. Not too many people. Everybody's very polite. This has been a real delight. If you look up on the ledges near the falls, the mist provides a lot of moisture and a lot of plants grow in those crevices. Plants that are typical of that location that you don't really see in other places. That's what I came for. It's quite a bit cooler down in this end of the canyon because all that evaporating water, the air is fairly dry, so that water evaporates from the waterfall and it cools the air quite a lot. It's got to be more than 10 degrees cooler here than it was a 1/4 mile back. So now it's time to walk back. It's about 1.5 miles according to the literature. It takes about 2 hours to go one way on this trail. The reason for the slow going is I stop and look at things, of course, and also a lot of the trail is sand, and sand takes a lot more energy to traverse than a hard path. Some of the path is up and down rocks, and none of it's very difficult, but it does slow one down. About halfway here, there was a point you could look across the canyon and see 3 pictographs. That is 3 paintings done by ancient people from this area depicting human forms. The pictures were made with a red paint. A red dye was applied to the canyon wall, so that would be called a pictograph. If an image is pecked into the surface, that's called a petroglyph. So these were pictographs. These were attributed to the Fremont people. Fremont is a name that Westerners have applied to this native population, and their name comes from the Fremont River. We can be certain they did not refer to themselves as the Fremont people. They had another name for themselves, I'm certain, but we don't know what that is. Now, these were not the same people that we would refer to as ancient Puebloans. The ancient Puebloans used to be referred to as Anasazi. That name has come into disfavor. It's a Navajo word that loosely translates to ancient enemy, and it was considered a pejorative. So it's come into disuse. I don't weigh in on this. I just observe what people have told me. But the Fremont people were different than the ancient Puebloans. The ancient Puebloans were south and east of here, and you're going to get a look at some of their civilization because we're going to Chaco Canyon, and that is a place that was a big settlement of ancient Puebloans. You can look forward to a video in Chaco 2 days from now. So now it's time to hike back toward the car, slowly and carefully. Well, I learned an interesting lesson here. On the way to the trail to head back to the car, I did open the little brochure provided by the Bureau of Land Management and read the fine print. So I had understood that this was 3 miles round trip. But it turns out this trip is 3 miles each way. It's 6 miles round trip. And that explains now why the going was so slow. I have to admit the error. I just didn't pay much attention to the details here. It doesn't matter. I brought water. I'm certainly up to a 6-mile hike, but that does go a long way to explain why it took so long. I went twice as far as I expected. So it's 3 miles each way, 6 miles round trip, and it's gonna take me about 4 hours. It was worth every bit of the effort. I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.